In my most recent video, I showcased my new perfect gaming panel, the Acer Predator X34GS. And while I covered the features that are highly noticeable right off the bat, what I didn't cover is, well, the other stuff. Let's do that. So to give a quick recap from the last video, what I covered was the response time, the refresh rate, the G-Sync compatibility, HDR support, and the ergonomics such as height, tilt, and swivel adjustments. If you haven't seen that video yet, then please go ahead and check that out. So what exactly didn't I cover? Well, let's start here. What we have here is a 34-inch 3440 by 1440 display with a nice 1900 degree curve. A bit more curvaceous compared to the original X34's 2100 degree curve, but definitely in the sweet spot for where curved monitors should be in my opinion, compared to other monitors like this one for example. Looking at the back of the panel, we have a nice stylish matte base type design, which is a hell of a lot better than the original X34's glass base type design for very obvious reasons. Now looking under the display, what we're greeted with is two USB 3.0 ports, one USB upstream port, a USB Type-C port, two DisplayPort 1.4 ports, two HDMI 2.0 ports, a headphone jack, and obviously power plug. And on the side of the panel, there are two other USB 3.0 ports. The power and menu buttons are located just behind the bottom right of the panel, and thanks to that joystick nibble thing, it is a lot easier to navigate in the menus compared to the original X34. Now speaking of the menu, we do have the usual options here for brightness, color, black boost levels, a blue light setting, ACM mode, HDR mode, a light sensor, and super sharpness. There's also a color section, but with HDR mode on, it's almost unusable. Audio options for the built-in speakers, and there's also options for pixel overdrive, adaptive sync, the refresh rate display, VRB mode, ultra low latency mode, and if you do want to cheat, we do have that aim point setting just like on the original X34. Like, whoa, hold on a minute. There was no option to overclock the refresh rate. So how do we overclock the refresh rate of the X34GS? Well, all I had to do is go into the NVIDIA control panel, open the resolution options, and switch from 144Hz to 180Hz. And then, boom, successful overclock. However, doing that can come at a price. Even though this is working perfectly now, there's still a good chance it could have been unstable. And in my previous experience with the original X34, the instability was caused by a 5-meter DisplayPort cable. Swap it out for a 1-meter cable, and then the problem disappeared. Now, is that the case with the X34GS? Probably. But the fact that it's working perfectly fine, there's really no point in testing that, right? Another thing that will definitely come at a price, however, is the 10-bit color depth. After uploading the last video, I had someone ask me whether you do lose the 10-bit color depth by overclocking the refresh rate. And as you can see now, yes we do. But is that really such a big thing and such a deal breaker for the X34GS? Definitely not. And now we move on to the refresh rate range. NVIDIA has already verified that G-Sync will work anywhere between 50Hz and 180Hz. What this means is if your game drops below 50 frames a second, the variable refresh rate technology will stop working. However, when I was running this ray trace 3D Mark test, even in the areas when I was getting 30 to 45 frames a second, from what I noticed, it still looked a hell of a lot smoother compared to 30 frames a second on a console. It was also brought to my attention recently that AMD graphics cards with FreeSync enabled seem to have issues with this panel. So I took out my old RX 460 to run a test of my own, and every time I ran the game, whether I'm on the menu or in the middle of the action, the screen would just blank out for whatever reason. I even tried dropping the refresh rate and that didn't fix anything. At this stage, I have absolutely no idea why that is, so hopefully it's something that can be figured out in the future. Now looking at input lag, according to my testing, we returned a result of 40 milliseconds. That might seem like a big number, but as you can see in this piece of footage, that definitely won't be much of an issue for gamers. There is just a little touch of backlight bleed on the edges of the screen, but nothing highly noticeable. And the anti-glare coating is pretty much the same as what it was on the original X34, striking a nice balance between performance and picture quality. And I guess this pretty much leads into the conclusion, which is pretty much the same thing as I said in the last video. For $1,500, you cannot go wrong with the X34GS. beautifully sharp and vibrant colors, especially with HDR400 enabled, pretty strong G-Sync support, especially compared to other G-Sync compatible monitors I've seen, improved ergonomics over the original X34, super high refresh rate and super low response times, pretty low input lag. Now there's got to be something that I don't like about the X34GS. Well, personally the only thing I can really point a finger at is the stand. If I was still using my small desk, this would have been a huge pain to set up like the original X34 was. And I guess the other negative could be the price, but think of it like this. If there was a G-Sync module inside this panel, not only would we be limited to Nvidia only graphics cards, but it would have cost a lot more. Just look at the Acer Predator X38 for example. And the issue with the AMD graphics cards with FreeSync enabled on this panel will have to be another negative until it gets fixed. But despite those flaws, for me personally, the Acer Predator X34GS is by far the best gaming panel that I've come across this decade. And should you get one too? Yes. Yes you should. But if you have an AMD graphics card, probably hold off for now until the screen blanking issue gets fixed. And this wraps it up. Thanks for watching guys, like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already for more future content headed your way, and be sure to give me a like and follow on my social medias, links in the video description, and if I don't see you in the next video, it will be in the ring. Game on!